Thank you. Okay, so we left off on our base, right? We were discussing the whole point of whether there's a knas, whether we do a knas of a maze. If somebody does an avera b'shoygig, do we knas him or to that he might come to do a maze? Meaning, a guy does something b'shoygig, so normally he's potter. There's nothing for him. He's not liable for anything. He's a shoygig. Question is, do we make him pay anyways? Because maybe he's going to end up he's maybe going to end up doing it amazing, right? So we had a machlokes Rameir and Rehuda whether we guys with this or we're not good with this. Yeah. So then the Gemara is asking kashas back and forth. So we're up to when we were machalik between Doiraisas and the Rabbanos, right? So then the Gemara says Rami the Rameir with Doiraisas. So let's ask the stira even within Rameir. Meaning, we asked the steer about Rameir, and he said, "What is talking about the Rabbanon? What is talking about the Daraisa?" Right? So the Gemara says, the Gemara asks, "Rami the Rameir, but the Daraisa." About 10 lines up at the bottom, 10, 12 lines up at the bottom. So let's ask a kasha for Rameir on Rameir by a Daraisa. The Tanya Hanateya for Shabbos. Somebody plants on Shabbos. Let's say a guy plants a tree on Shabbos. The shoygig, so he plants it by mistake. Yeah, he didn't know he was planting a tree. He didn't know it was Shabbos, whatever it is. So Yekayim. So he is Mekayim. You can keep the tree. You don't have to destroy the tree. But for Mezid, Yaakov, if a guy does it on purpose, he purposely plants a tree, and you have to be Oikarit, right? Like any other mice in Shabbos. But what about in Shemitah? So by Shemitah, Bein B'Shoigig, Bein B'Mezid, Yaakov. By Shemitah, whether he did it B'Shoigig, whether he did it B'Mezid, he uproots it to be Rameir. That's what Rameir holds. Yehuda Aimer, B'Shvius, on Shvius, B'Shoigig, Yikayim. The shoyi is Mekayim. If the Mezid, Yaakov. The Mezid, he is Oikar. But Shabbos, Bein B'Shoigig, Bein B'Mezid, Yaakov. So on Shabbos, whether he did it on purpose, whether he did it by mistake, he's Oikar. Whatever it is, this is talking about Issa Daraisa, right? Shemitah is Issa Daraisa, and Rameir is not Machalik between it. Yeah. So the Gemara says, for the Tamech, and according to you, Kikshalach, he Gufa. Why don't you ask from the price itself? Right? Meaning you're asking to steal from Rameir on a deraisa to another deraisa. How do you say pshat in this Mishnah by itself? Right? I mean the price. Well, unless you go to say it's a Mishnah, right? Well, how come on Shabbos, if you did it b'shoige, you can keep the tree, but in Shemitah you can't. Michti haderaisa. Planting. On Shabbos is a deraisa, planting. Shemitah is a deraisa. Mashna Shabbos and Mashna Shvius. Why is there a difference between Shabbos and Shvius? Elahasam with the Tani time. There, the reason is Amar Amreir Reimani Aimer b'Shabbos b'Shagi Yikayim b'Mezid Yakar b'Shvius Bein b'Shagi Bein b'Mezid Yakar. Rameir says, how come by Shabbos if he does it by mistake, he gets to keep the tree? If he does it on purpose, he does not get to keep it, and on Shemitah he has to uproot it totally. The reason is because Klal Yisrael counts the years of Shemitah. The Ein on Tamid Aleph now. The Ein minin l'Shabbosis, and they don't count weeks. Right? Meaning when a person wants to know how old the tree is, right? When a person wants to know how old the tree is, so what he does is he says he uses it. He uses Shemitah cycles and he counts every 7 years, right? So if you're going to allow this guy to keep this tree, right? If you're going to allow this guy to keep this tree, then and during Shemitah, then he's going to think that you're allowed to plant trees in Shemitah. They're going to say, oh, 1 second, this tree is 7 years old. 7 years, that's 7 years old. That means it was planted during Shemitah. Oh, okay, so we could plant trees during Shemitah, right? So since people are going to count the trees during Shemitah, so therefore we don't allow it, right? But Shabbos, nobody's counting. Nobody's counting how many weeks old the tree is and saying, oh, this tree was planted 3 weeks ago on Shabbos, so therefore It's like 3 years and 4 weeks old, or 3 years and 3 weeks old. Right, so Dover Acher, another pshat. Next Yisrael, Allah Shviyas. Another pshat is that Klal Yisrael was nechshad on Shviyas, meaning that they don't keep it, but like nechshad on Shabbos, but they're not chashad on Shabbos. Okay, so what exactly does this Dover Acher mean? Right, meaning it sounds like right now from what the Dover Acher is saying is that we're nechshad on Shemitah. Right, and they're not nechshad on Shabbos. If they're nechshad on Shemitah, so therefore, if a guy plants for shaygig, we have to make sure that he can't keep this tree. Otherwise, people are gonna have a problem.
Right now, this is only Rabbi Meir Shita.
This is all Rameir, yeah. Right now it's Rameir, very good. And but they're not chashin on Shabbos, so therefore we don't have to make any xeris. So the Gemara says, "My davar acher." What do you mean by davar acher? I had another pshat. Why do you need another pshat for? So Shabbos also zimn into mikla yom lanu shas. We need a little bit of akdam before the Gemara continues. So we know that there's such a thing as Shemitah, right? That's a push. Now Shemitah really starts 30 days. The Isser Shemitah starts 30 days. Starts in Elul before Shemitah. Midrabanan doesn't apply nowadays, but when it's a real Shemitah. At the Rice Shemitah really starts 30 days before. There's another din that if you have Orla, right? So Orla is the first 3 years you can't use a tree. How much of the first year does the tree need to be planted? More than 30 days. Right? So if a guy plants on a tree on Shabbos, 30 days before Rosh Hashanah, right? Now, that could be a Shemitah issue, because it's 30 days before. It could also be a counting issue, because if that tree is going to count, that's if that tree is going to count, and you count it on Shabbos, then it gets in its 30 days, and now it's Arla. You already have 1 year, right? Meaning we know that if the tree is planted for 1 month before the year is up, then that's 1 year. That's considered 1 year of Arla. So let's say the guy planted it 30 days before Rosh Hashanah on Shabbos. So that's a situation where they are going to look back and they say, 1 second, how long ago was this tree planted? 30 days ago. Let's look on a calendar. The calendar says it was Shabbos. We're going to say, oh, you see, it was planted on Shabbos. You're allowed to plant trees on Shabbos.
Why can't we say it was a minimum of 30 days?
No, they look in their records. They're going to look in their records and see when was this tree planted.
Does Orla go by Rosh Hashanah, or the Orla goes by Shvat?
I think in this case, certainly together with the Shemitah, right?
But who said it was exactly 30 days? Like Zev says, maybe it was 31 days. Like, who is looking back? What do you mean look back at their records? They can't trace the amount of years, the amount of days it was planted. They know
they want to know that it's at
days.
least 30 days.
Right. It could have been 35 days.
Could have been right.
No. But it was talking about where the tree was planted 30 days before.
Why is the Gemara assuming that we're going to look back and count, and we're going to see that it's Shabbos? Maybe it's not 30, maybe it's 38.
All right. And they keep records of when they planted trees. They're going to look back and they're going to say, okay, this tree was planted 30 days ago.
What do you mean keeping records? Every tree that they plant?
Yeah. I'm assuming so. Yeah, I'm assuming people that are. I don't know. Simon, help me out over here with this. Simon was on this.
It's like the JNF. They every tree who donated it, and when it was planted.
There you go. I'm saying, they must keep good records.
Of what?
They have to. Think of it as a donation to Darkey.
What's the question?
How many records do they keep of when they plant trees, when they plant, I don't know, here we're not talking about vegetables, we're talking about trees. So like, do they keep records like when the tree was planted?
I mean,
I'm not talking about a guy in his garden or whatever. I'm talking about like a major.
I mean, likely because certain trees only start fruiting after X amount of years and productive after X amount of years. So it wholly depends on what
what they're planting, but I mean, I guess you could say that. Especially if it's their parnasa. If it's their parnasa, they're likely doing that.
I don't know. I don't know where Rav Tzviak is getting that assumption that they're putting a date on when the tree was planted. Where are you getting that assumption?
From Rashi. I'm getting it from Rashi. Now where's Rashi?
Where's Rashi?
Rashi is the Hachi Kamar, 4 lines down. Rashi
Rashi was a vinter, and grapevines, karam is much different than trees. Trees can go 50, 60 years. Fruit-bearing trees can go 50, 60 years, no problem. Vines aren't forever.
I hear. I don't, but you don't know for sure that it was.
Where's Rashi? Zimna the Tzachumam the Tanya right there of Shviz. Lam Yom
Lefnei Rosh Hashanah, also Loshana L'Shnei Arla. The Shloshim Yom B'Shana Chashuv and Shana. Right, 30 years of a year is considered a year. Umurta L'Kaiman B'Shvius, and you can keep him B'Shvius. Pachas Mishloshim Yom Lefnei Rosh Hashanah Lo Ya'aseh Loshana. Right, but if it's less than 30 years, it doesn't count as the year. But also L'Kaiman B'Shvius, you can't keep them during Shvius. Hilkov Zimnin. Meaning, because again, Shemitah starts from 30 days before. Hilkos Zimnin, the Shabbazu Shenotazeh, right? The Shabbos that they planted this tree, have a Yom Shloshim with Rosh Hashanah. Maybe it was the 30th day before Rosh Hashanah. Or Monday night Shana, right? So they knew that they planted this tree on Shabbos. Now, whether they kept records for other trees, I don't know, but it sure sounds like it. I mean, they knew that this tree was planted on Shabbos. Right. So now, if you're going to allow this tree, if it was planted on Shabbos by mistake, and you're going to allow it to go, then the guy might say, "Oh, you see, you're allowed to plant trees on Shabbos." That's what the Gemara is concerned for. That's my Shabbos namni back in the Gemara, 3 lines down. My Shabbos namni in the mikla yom lamed b'Shabbos. Maybe it'll happen that the 30th day will fall out on Shabbos. If you planted that day on Shabbos, it will count as a year. If not, the year won't count. So Tashema, that's what you would think. Maybe that's a scenario. So Tashema, Davar Acher, Nechshedu Yisrael al Shvius, v'lo Nechshedu al Shabbos. Klal Yisrael is Nechshed on Shvius. They're not Nechshed on Shabbos, right? You don't have, but therefore, there's no chashash that people are going to be machal Shabbos. Meaning, because even if they come out and say, "Oh yeah, Taka, this tree was planted on Shabbos," they can say, "Okay, it must have been a mistake." Nobody's going to learn from that because everybody's makbid. Everybody lemaisa is makbid. Fine. So that's how we answer Rameir. Now back to Rabbi Yehuda, like Rachman said. The Rabbi Yehuda, like Kash, because we have a steer of Rabbi Yehuda also, right? Because Rabbi Yehuda held that a shoygig on the daraisa, like Shemitah, you don't give a knas, but by Shabbos he says you do. By Shabbos you have to uproot the tree. So ba'asri Rabbi Yehuda chamiru l'shviyas. The reason is because in Rabbi Yehuda's town they were very makbid on shviyas. Since they were very makbid on shviyas, which is Shemitah, you do not have to make any sort of knases. What Dahu, now he has this weird story here. Dahu damar le l'chavera. There was a guy that told his friend he wanted to tick off his friend. So Dayer bar Dayarta, he called him a ger, the son of a ger, right? So that's putting him down. He told him back. His shtoch back to him was, "I don't eat shemitah peiros like you." Right. So you see that people were makbid on keeping shemitah.
I love this Maisa. There's an S in the Torah to put down a ger, but it's all right.
Correct. Again, we're not dealing with the Tzadikei Yom HaSoilem these last couple of blocks, right? And then we're bringing a raya from them too. It's a good thing Yeshver is not on for this one, right? So, fine. Now this next raya is a little bit long. And then after that, we get into some Gishmaka Sugyas of whatever interesting, practical halachic stuff for this and on the base. It's a Toshima. But this we got this next one is a little rough. Okay? Ochal truma tameya. If somebody eats a kohen, ate truma tameya. Now, like we said yesterday, truma tameya is not really worth much because you can't really do anything with it. So ochal truma tameya, because obviously Yisrael can't eat it, and a kohen can't eat it. So it's really not worth much. But a Yisrael went by mistake, ate Truma Tameya. So Mashalim Chulin Tahirin, he pays, he has to pay back Chulin Tahirin, which is interesting things. He's paying back food that's worth a lot more than what he damaged. He ate Truma Tameya, which is not worth much. The Gemara is saying he has to pay back Chulin Tahirin, which is regular fruits or vegetables. All right, we'll see weiter with that. Shilem, Chulin Tameyan Mahu. But what happens if he paid back Chulin Tameyan? Right, he's supposed to pay back Chulin Tahirin, but he paid back Chulin Tameyan Mahu. So Amar Simplis Mishum Reb Meir. The Shoigegs, if he did it by mistake, he paid back Chulin Tameyan to Tashlum, and that's considered a payment. But B'mezid ain't Tashlum Tashlum. But if he did it on purpose, he purposely paid back Chulin Tameyan, then the payment is no good. Tashlumin, the Chum say either way, whether it was done on purpose or whether it was done by mistake, he's allowed to pay it back.
And we're saying he paid back the same amount, right? Not value, same amount.
I'm assuming the same amount. Yeah, like this, let's say it was 10 apples, he's paying back 10 apples.
Uh-huh.
Right?
What's the problem with eating chulin tamei?
What?
What's the problem with eating chulin that's tamei?
There's no problem. But it's worth less. That's all. I think. It's worth
Is it
more.
just is it just stealing at that point?
What?
What is the issue at the end of the day? He stole?
Well, he ate Truma Tameya.
Because he ate Truma?
He ate Truma Tameya.
So what's the issue here? That he stole or that he ate this Truma, which is also to eat?
Well, what's he paying? Who's he paying back?
No, I'm saying, but if it's just to pay him back, why can't you just pay him back with whatever he owed him?
Well, that's what we're saying. Well, we're saying he has to pay back more than what he owed, really.
Right? Why? Out the fact that he stole, the fact that he. Yeah. Why are we? Can he pay somebody? Meaning, if you're going to knas him, just knas. If it's a knas, why can't you knas him to pay back somebody else? Because you ate Truma Tameya. Why does it have to be to that kind?
Yeah. So that's the interesting thing.
Pay him back exactly what he owes him.
So it becomes right. It's interesting, anyways. When he pays back Chulin Tameyan, it immediately becomes Truma Tameyan. So it's really not much you're going to do with it, anyways. Regardless.
Why does it become Truma Tameya when he pays him back?
What?
Why does it become Tameh when he pays him back? It'll be Truma Tahira, no?
Why? Is it why shouldn't he or should he?
No, you said it becomes Truma Tameya. Why Tameya? It should become Truma.
No, I'm talking about when he paid Chulin. He paid Chulin Tameyan.
Right, you ate Chulin Tameyan.
You ate Chulin Tameyan. Paying Chulin Tameyan.
Who said you don't have to pay Chulin Tahira?
We're saying he does have to, but we're talking about what happens if he didn't.
Right, I'm saying, but why does he have to pay Chulin Tahira? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, that's what we're going to get to. We're going to get to that. Why did he say it? Because that's right. It's why should he have to pay Chulin Tahira? Right. So anyway, so if he paid back Chulin Tameyan, which will automatically become Truma Tameya anyways, so it's a machlokes. Chachamim say it works. The Tashumin is Tashumin. The Chayzer Mashalim Chulin Tahirin. But even though the Tashumin really works, but he has a knas and he has to go back, pay back Chulin Tahirin. Right? So now what's going on? They asked, why is it, right, according to Rameir, why isn't it Tashlumin a Tashlumin? Tavayla bracha. He should have a bracha. Right? Because why? He ate something that he's not. He can't even eat when he's tummy. Right? And he paid him back something that is chazi. Right? Because he's paying him back chulin. Although it's tamei, but the kohen can eat it when he's tamei. No, kohen can never eat truma tamei. That we already established. But chulin tamei, he could theoretically eat. Now that's what Rashi points us out, that it comes out that he really can't pay him back because it doesn't help the kohen at all. The Gemara is saying, look, he really could pay him back truma tamei, which is worthless, but he paid him back chulin tamei, which is worth something. But it's really not worth something because the chulin tameyan becomes automatic truma tameya. so the kohen can't eat it anyways. But from the Yisrael's perspective, he is doing something correct, right? So whatever it is, so why shouldn't it work? So something's missing from this price, and this is what we have to say. If he ate truma tameya, he could pay back anything because the mice it's worthless, right? Which answers the kasha. If he ate truma tahira, that avada he has to pay back chulin tahira. Shilim chulin tamei and mao. But what happens if he paid back chulin that's tamei? If he did a b'shaygeg, his payment is a payment. For mezid, ain't tashlum of tashlum, but he does it on purpose. His tashlum is not a tashlum. Tashlum of tashlumin. His payment is a payment. The chayzer, mashallah chulin tahirin. He goes back and he pays chulin tahirin. Fine. Okay, that's the shackle v'taya back and forth. Bottom line is, what's the difference between Rameir and the Chachamim? The whole thing is whether we say a knas of a shoygig because you're going to come to do a mezid, right? So that's essentially the kasha here. Now we have the parentheses, but we could skip that. Either way, so that the Gemara is saying that we have again a kasha on Rameir. So our answer is I'm sorry, on Rabbi Yehuda. It's a kasha. Well, it's really kasha on both. No, Joe, it can't be kasha. Rabbi Yehuda is not the Chacham is not Rabbi Yehuda. I was mixing that up. It's a kasha on Rameir. Our answer is Hasam Gavra l'shlume kamechavim. What's the guy doing? He's trying to pay back a damage that he did. Right? He ate truma from the kohen. He's trying to pay it back. Anan nekum b'liknasei. We're going to go give him a knas. The guy's trying to do what he's supposed to be doing. You're going to go give him a knas, right? Why should you give him a knas? He's being a good Jew, right? So therefore, we're not going to give him a knas. Masha Enkein by the guy in our Mishnah who's putting in tumah and mixing in truma and all those type of things. He's being a jerk. So avada, we're going to give him a knas. But so Toshima, the Gemara asks another kasha. Dam shenitma. So this needs also akdama. So blood that became tamei, really the midaraisa, the carbon is a good carbon. By midrabanan they asked it. And then, but what it is that because the main part of a carbon is when the blood gets sprinkled on the mizbeah, that's what makes the carbon validated, sort of. Right? So what makes the carbon validated if the blood is tamei? So we say that the tzitz, what they called the tzitz? The head plate? No, something that's what they called it.
Yeah, the head plate, yeah.
The head plate. So the tzitz was meratza. The tzitz, what do you call it? It meratza, from the word ritzei. It accepted it. It sort of made it like it was acceptable to sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, the tummy blood. Right? So Toshima.
It doesn't mean that it validates the carbon. It just means it takes away the aveira of the. Maybe the tzitz only takes away the aveira. It's mechaper. I don't know if it takes away it makes it kosher when it's not kosher. Dam tame is dam tame, and you have to get be mekabel more dam from the baim. But the tzitz is it
takes care of the isser of the dam going on the mizbeach.
Yeah, I would say that's what the tzitz does.
Correct. The tzitz makes it marutza, right? That's basically what the tzitz does. Yes, thank you. So the resident kohen over here, making sure everything is safe. Right? One of the resident kohen. I'm sorry, Avi, I didn't mean to. Aaron Kaplan's there. It's Yisrael, and Mike would have. Yeah. Anyway, so. Anyway, so the dam shenitma v'zark, when they sprinkled on mizbeach b'shoygeg hurtza, if they did it by mistake, then the tzitz, like we just said, the tzitz makes it that it's not bad. But if a guy takes the blood and sprinkles on the kohen, takes the blood and sprinkles on the mizbeach on purpose, right? Then we passel up the carbon, right? So what do you see? What happened to what happened to Rameir's Shita? That you should make a knas of a shaygig because of a mezid, right? So, but again, here if he does it for shaygig, we said it works. If it mezid, it doesn't work. Why don't you make a knas that it shouldn't work for shaygig either? So look, Rameir hachiyashta hasam gavra l'furi kamachavin. There, the kohen that's sprinkling the blood on the mizbeach, what's he trying to accomplish? He's trying to do a kapara. Anon nekum v'niknasei. So we are going to make him have a knas because by mistake. What was the guy doing here exactly? He by mistake took this blood and sprinkled it on his bear. So we want to give him a knas. He did it by mistake. He was trying to do his job. He didn't do anything wrong. He made a mistake, yeah, but he didn't. He was trying to do the right thing. So therefore, we're not going to give a knas. Then the Gemara is going to go through a couple of more kashas, the same teretz. Toshima, Hamaasa b'Shabbos. So we know you're not allowed to give meiser on Shabbos. Why? Because it's a derabbanan. Because it looks like you're fixing the food. It's tikkun, right? You can't give trumas and meisers on Shabbos. So let's say a guy did. So b'shaygig, you did it by mistake. Yochel, he could eat the food, right? Because you can't eat the food until the meisers take it off. But by mistake, he took off the meiser. So now, do we let him eat the food or not? So b'shaygig, you could eat it, but meiser lo yochel. On purpose, he can't eat it. So how come we're not making a knas that if he did it by mistake, it shouldn't be good because he may do it on purpose? So our answer is the guy, what the guy doing? The guy's trying to be an erlich chiyid. He's trying to take off meiser. He's doing what he's supposed to do. By mistake, he took it off on Shabbos, and therefore you want to give him a knas that he can't eat a whole Shabbos? That's no reason to knas a legitimate guy. Fine.
Well, isn't that zilzul?
There is, but he did it by shaygig.
So what? I mean, we don't have to make it good. Zilzul Shabbos is nothing.
I don't know. He was Toivel Caleb.
No, that's the next case.
You cook food not kohen on Shabbos against halacha, so we allowed you to eat it.
Oh, so you want to say that also the guy meant well?
Yeah.
I hear.
There he wasn't doing a mitzvah, Zev. Here he's doing a mitzvah.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying he did a mitzvah. He's doing a mitzvah.
He's doing a mitzvah.
Food on Shabbos? You're saying because he's cooking food for Shabbos?
Yeah, so
he's cooking food for Shabbos. Maybe he's cooking food for time.
No, but let's say he cooks food for Shabbos, right?
That's like a rishus.
So rishus to cook on Shabbos?
No, it's a rishus to cook for Shabbos. You know, you said you need to cook that food.
Well, who says this guy had to take off meiser from this food?
Yeah, it's a mitzvah to take off meiser. You have to take off meiser. When he does
it's a mitzvah to keep Shabbos.
He didn't realize it was Shabbos. What do you mean? He has to take off meiser. That you're mechuyev to. You're not mechuyev to make food. It's a rishus to make food. Yeah,
but we give a knas to somebody who does something on Shabbos. He's not supposed to, even if it's b'shaygig.
I understand, but there's a chiluk. When it's a person's trying to do a mitzvah, and it's b'shaygig, we say he's trying to do a mitzvah. Shine, leave him alone. We're not going to knas him.
So, I get it. Because we're doing mitzvahs, all bets are off.
Yeah, he's trying to do something positive.
Right. So Zev is saying that, but you're taking that teretz, Zev? Because don't they?
No, I'm not. I'm being cynical. No.
He's being cynical. Akiva gets into the Hasidic thing, right? A guy forgets to bring his herring to the Kiddush on Shabbos, and there's no Eruv. Can you ask a guy to do it? Is that called a shvus b'makom mitzvah? Right? Is it such a mitzvah to have a herring? You ask a Hasidic paisik, he'll tell you about it. It's a big thing.
I was this Shabbos, it's 100% mutter.
All right. I don't know where you went. I don't want to hear.
Zav, I'm with you on that part. I draw the line in the sand also. I'm not asking for that.
I'm not saying yes or no, but you could hear somebody saying, what do you mean? It's Einik Shabbos, it's a mitzvah.
That's how you end up saying. You're wrong about the air. I'm just saying.
No, so
they were making.
Let me ask you something. You did b'shaygig. You put water into the children Friday night. But b'shaygig. You're allowed to use the children the next day. It's not so poshut.
I'm not saying you're allowed to.
Okay, but so we give a knas on Friday night, you decided you want to put water in the cholent because you're afraid the beans are going to burn. It's not so push you can use it the next day.
I'm taking the other side.
You did it, B'shai. You thought it was good.
It happens to be. It happens to be. One second. The mayor holds you could eat it.
Because
I understand, but not to give a knas.
Rameir holds on Shabbos. We had it on number base. Rameir holds on Shabbos. You mavashal on Shabbos. The shoygig, you could eat it.
That's because deraisa. Rameir is not knas.
Right. Right. So we're asking here. Here is the deraisa.
No, it's derabanan. That's the difference.
What do you mean? The maisa?
The maisa. Ma'aser on Shabbos.
I mean, the maisa on Shabbos is derabanan.
That's the filling.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Right. But I'm saying that's the kasha that we're asking.
What's the kasha? Doing the Isur deraisa, Rameir is not knasing on. You only knas on derabbanans. That's the whole blot before.
Correct.
So what does Shev's kasha have at all? How did
I'm just saying that he's asking that on Shabbos we should aser it. We don't aser it.
We don't aser on deraisas. He's correct. That's
correct.
What's the kasha? I'm not stopping.
No.
What's the kasha from Bishul?
No, that's what I'm saying. So you have to come up, Zev. You have to come up with a bishul derabbanon in order to fit it to make you kasha.
And by the way, bishul derabbanons, we do come up with a term for it. No.
I mean, we'd have to say that
if you need the food for Shabbos and somebody's with bashul derabbanon, what Big Evan, would that person be able to eat that food?
What?
Bishul derabbanon. Big Evan can eat the food.
If I tell the guy, Miralakum, I tell the guy to put the water in the cholent. Am I allowed to eat it the next day?
If you put water in the cholent?
I tell a guy, Joe, please put Tony from the white shoe, please put water in the cholent tonight. The beans are gonna bake. The beans are gonna burn. Tony, please pour the water.
You cannot.
So that's a derabanan, right? Why not? No, you're allowed to eat the cholent the next day? Why not? Why not?
Because they made an Isser. They made an Isser of Amir
Lakum is a derabanan, right?
Yes, but it's not a. I don't think it's a knas. I don't know. Is it a knas?
So why can't you eat it the next day?
What?
Who said you're going?
Why can't you eat it? What did you do wrong? Amir Lakum, what did you do? You told the guy.
So you did it amazing, first of all.
No, I didn't know. Tony.
You didn't know what? You didn't know what? You didn't know the din? We already discussed.
I didn't know the din. You're not allowed to pour water in the cholent. I thought it's 3 cups.
I remember mutter is not necessarily a shaygig. That example's not a good example. You have to come up with a shaygig. You ask the guy to put the beans into a salad.
Why are you even asking the guy? If you don't know if something's wrong, why don't you do it yourself?
Good.
You you have a cleaning lady. No, let's say you have a cleaning lady. So you ask Annie why. We know that any good Jewish kid knows I have a cleaning lady. Why should I ever do any work myself if I have a cleaning lady, right? So you go, you take the clean, you tell the cleaning lady, take these beans, put into a salad. The cleaning lady thinks salad and cholent is the same thing. So she goes and takes the beans and puts it into the cholent. So now, should you make a gezerah shagig or tumezid? That's what you're saying, Zeb. There you go. That. But I don't know what the din is in that case, so I don't know. So according to this Gemara, you want to say that it should be mutter because they meant to do a mitzvah. I think that's what it would be. No, Akiva, that's what I think it would be.
Also, Tziyach, we pass like Rameir. I mean, to ask from halacha l'maisa, do we pass like Rameir when it comes to Shabbos? In terms of how he knases?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, how we paskin Shulchan Aruch does paskin l'chumra, Gra paskins l'kula.
Rameir is l'kula, right?
What?
Rameir is l'kula when it comes to Shabbos.
Yeah, I think, right? Of course.
Yeah, he allows you to eat. I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyways, okay, so let's see whatever. But the Gemara's kasha is that the guy does meiser on Shabbos, which is the Rabbanon, who say if he did it b'shoigig, it's okay, he can eat the food. Amazing, he can't eat the food again. So Gemara says, He's trying to fix his food, which is interesting, Akiva. It sounds like not like what you're saying. Akiva is saying that he's doing a mitzvah thing of the ma'aser. But I don't say that. He's trying to fix his food. Yeah, he's trying to fix it halachically. He's trying to do a halacha. Anan leikum, we're going to get up and give him a knas? No, we're not. Fine. Then Toshma. Hamatul kelim b'Shabbos. Somebody who toivels kelim on Shabbos. On Shabbos, you're not allowed to toivel kelim. So b'shoigig yishtamish ben. But let's say he did toivel it. So if he did it b'shoigig, he could use it. B'mezid lo yishtamish ben. If he does it b'mezid, he can't. Now, what's the story here? Right, why don't you make a gzeira? Right. So he's being trying to be matar his utensils. Anan leikum, we're going to give him a knas. So again, there's a mitzvah of tvilas kelim, but it doesn't mean it's a chi. It doesn't mean he has to do it. He's doing a mitzvah, right? So he's trying to fix his kelim. So what, you're going to give him a knas? He's not looking to do anything wrong. Meaning, when a guy's looking to do something wrong, so then we're going to make a knas, a shayga to amazing. When he's not doing something wrong, he's trying to do a mitzvah, then we're not going to. So I'm going to ask, Rabbi Yehuda, why don't we ask a stira from Rabbi Yehuda? Right? B'darabanan, I'm sorry, Rabbi Yehuda, b'darabanan. Why don't we ask a stira and Rabbi Yehuda when it comes to the Rabbanan? It's the Tanya on Tomei Beis now. Now here we get into some major practical halachic stuff here. Naflu v'nispatzu. So let's say nuts from Arla, right? Now there are guys a perach, Rashi says, which are very chashuv of nuts. So there's a rule by Bittel that anything chashuv is never bottled, even in a billion, right? So if you have, let's say, a chashuv, a piece of meat, yeah, it's a good piece of meat that gets mixed up with all sorts of treifa meat. I'm sorry, a good piece of treifa meat somehow got mixed into your kosher meat, but there's thousands of pieces of meat and it's butter, right? We say it's not butter because something so kosher, nobody's going to want to have it nullified. They're going to look through that pile till they try and find it, etc., etc. So now let's say these fancy nuts of Arla fell into kosher nuts. So now they're not bottled. But if the nuts got crushed, and once the nuts get crushed, they're no longer kosher, and therefore they're considered bottled. Right? Let's just do the case. We'll get to a more practical case. Again, these regular perach nuts that fall in are not bottled because they're kosher, right? But if they get crushed, then they lose their chashivas, and then they would be bottled, right? So let's say a guy does it on purpose, though. The nuts of the Arla fell into the rest of the nuts. They're bottled in 1,000, but it's not bottled because it's a chashuv nut. So the guy says, yeah, I got a great idea. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to crush all the nuts. Now it became bottled. Now, is that called ein mevatlin isser lechatchila? Because it's an isser that you're not allowed to be mevatel isser. Is this guy being mevatel the isser? Really, he's not. It already fell in. We're just saying that it's not bottled. What's making it bottled? He's crushing them, right? So is that an issue or not? So the Gemara says, Naflu v'nispatzu, echad shoygeg v'echad mezid, whether he did it b'shoygeg, whether he did it b'mezid, meaning whether by mistake he crushed it, or he crushed it on purpose, lo yalu, right? They don't go up, which means that they're not bottled. They're not bottled. Divrei Rameir for Rabbi Yehuda. That's the sheet of Rameir and Rabbi Yehuda. Yossi v'Rab Shimon oimrim b'shoygeg yalu. If he did it by mistake, it works. B'mezid lo yalu. On purpose, it doesn't go up. Okay, v'achad midaraisa chad b'trei bottle. Really, we know that midaraisa, anything that's solid is bottled in beroiv, right? Chad b'trei, right? Because one iser falls into two heter, it's bottled beroiv. Rabbanan hu de gaza, and it's a gzeira de Rabbanan that Arla needs. Arla, by the way, doesn't need shishim; it needs 200. Because Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yehuda still says it's no good. So the Gemara says no. One second. Let me just do the teretz. They were worried that the guy's going to pull shtick. If you're going to allow a guy who by mistake crushes the nuts and now the nuts became bottle, so we're afraid that he's going to do it on purpose and he'll say, it was a mistake. by mistake, I took the hammer and I was swinging it to hit my partner on the head, and by mistake, it went and smashed the nuts, which is a bunch of baloney. So we're afraid that that's very easily done. So therefore, we're going to give him a knas. Yeah,
Wouldn't that be true in regards to all cases of shogeg got to mesa?
What do you mean?
You could say I did it for shogeg.
Can he say? Yeah, but I think it's very hard to tell in the actual ma'isa. Right? To take off ma'isa, so to toivel a kli, to do it shogeg is. Meaning it's hard to differentiate here. Maybe not. The truth is right. I don't know.
It's all kavana, no?
Right. I hear what
you say. Oh, whoops! I took off my. I didn't realize I wasn't allowed to do that. Right. For any case, I'm saying.
Is this where we learn about Talayim? And
very good. What are you saying, Simon? Continue.
I'm asking. Is this where we learn about Talayim? And you can't have a raspberry, but if the raspberry ends up in your smoothie, go ahead.
Oh, so that's exactly the practical case. Very good. The way this comes out is, can you take strawberries, broccoli, and all that type of thing, and without checking it, can you make it into a smoothie or not? Right? Or is that called meaning if by mistake, now the reason why strawberries are also broccoli and all these things is because bugs are not butter. Right? Bugs are not butter because they're considered a berry, it's considered a whole entity. Once they get crushed up, they're butter. Right? So you can't go take a strawberry and say, hey, I love strawberries. Oh, but there's bugs. Okay, so I'll smash it. And that will smash the berry and it'll knock off, let's say, one of the legs of the bug, and therefore it's going to be okay. Right? So right. So that you for sure can't do. If it got crushed, then it's okay. Right. So that's mamish. This is exact sugya. Whether if a guy by mistake crushes it, is it allowed? Now, there is a shita that says, and it's brought in the Mefarshim Shulchan Aruch, that says that if you're crushing the nuts using this example, or you're crushing the strawberries, not because you're looking to be mevatel it, you're crushing them because that's what you're doing it for, then that's not called ein mevatelis lechatchila. Meaning the Gemara, so they have to learn our Gemara saying that the guy's crushing the nuts, that's because he's looking to be mevatel, right? But if he crushed the nuts because he needs to decorate a cake, then that's not called mevatan issa lechatchila. It happens to be that the issa will become batal, but that's not called intentional. Right? You hear it's a big kula, and lemaisa many go with this. So therefore, if somebody's making a smoothie, and the reason why he's crushing and whatever zhuzhing the vegetables is because he's just making a smoothie, then that's not called mevatan issa lechatchila. And therefore, it's okay, right? So that's pretty much the way we pass them. There's a prima godum, I think it's a prima godum that says that if you can get the bugs out of there before you do it, then you can't do this. If it's very difficult to get the bugs out, then fine. But if it's relatively easy, then you shouldn't rely on this. Whatever it is.
So what? So it means if you didn't wash the strawberry down and you made a smoothie, then you don't have to be choishish for the bugs?
Correct.
Why?
I also heard that when the bugs get frozen, that they also
they burst. Yeah, but
and therefore it's not going to be a barrier.
That's true, but that's if it would take a bust. But they say that it does not bust. They say this. They disprove that. I don't know who stood in the freezer with them. I don't know, but they used to say.
Yeah, I have a feeling I know who it is. I'm just saying.
That could be. No shortage of those, alpha guys.
Well, there's one in particular, but yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's the sugya. But the thing is, I'm not so sure. Stop getting into the practical of it. I'm not so sure that what do you call it? Making a smoothie crushes it enough that you vada getting the bugs to be split up. I think you have to more puree. I don't know if any ladies are out there listening or not, but I think puree is better than what do you call it? Right? That's what you'd have to say.
So you're saying a smoothie is no, but puree?
I don't know. You have to know. You have to really experiment with it. It should really, if it's going to be a smoothie, it's got to be a real smooth smoothie.
Just stay away from fruits and vegetables.
Meat smoothies.
Yeah, puree, according to Rabbi Google, puree creates a smoother blend than just standard blending.
Avi Khan, you are what you eat. Stay away from fruits and nuts.
Yeah, but anyway, so that's super fine. So I'm going to ask for Rami, the Rabbi Yossi, ask us to Rabbi Yossi, right? It's non Natiya shel Arla v'shel Klaya Kerem. If you have a planting of Arla and Klaya Kerem, Shenis Arba v'Natiya Cheres. Now this is when they're all still planted. Somebody by mistake took an Arla or Klayim and planted it in the middle of the guy's garden or whatever it was. And it got mixed in with other natiyas. So that's never batal because it's considered something choshen. So Reza lo yilaket, he cannot take the fruit because when he picks it, then it becomes batal. Meaning when it's attached to the ground, it's never batal because it's choshen. Once you pick it, it becomes batal. And if he did, yalu be'echad masayim, then it goes up in 1 and 200, it's batal. But he can't do it with kavana. So it's essentially the same thing. You can't pick it with kavana to be mavatal. Even if you had kavana to be malakid, it goes up 1 and 200. So what do you see? So you see Rabbi Yossi is not making any sort of knossos, right? But the price of before says he did make a knas. So are we making knas or we're not making knas? So a person is not going to aser his whole vineyard by planting one thing of arla, right? So what? But the Maisa, the guy did it, right? So we have this rule that we know that it's a what's it called? How do you say it? Milsa de loy shchicha, and something that's not common, the chacham never make a takana. So since it's not common, meaning really he should make the knas. But since it's such an uncommon thing, because people are very careful not to be planting arla trees inside their gardens. And I don't know if garden is the right word. It's just that they're just so careful to it that it's such a rarity, they didn't feel they had the need to make a knas. A chazaka, person is not answering his vineyard with one planting. Okay. So that's fine. That's that. Now we get into also fighter with Kaihanim. Kaihanim shepoglu. So we already discussed this yesterday's daf. Kohen that makes pigel. Now, kohen that makes pigel is basically, like we said, a kohen is when he's shechting the animal or doing any of the avodas, he has in mind that he's not going to eat this carbon in the allotted time, in the proper time. So since he's not going to do it in the allotted time, that makes it pigel, and therefore he makes the whole carbon not kosher.
And Cohen doesn't have to shecht.
Who?
Cohen doesn't have to shecht.
No one.
The Cohen doesn't have to shecht.
That's true. That's a big issue. You're right. I shouldn't have said shechita because that's a big issue whether Yisrael can make pigel if he does the right. A shechita, what Rachamim means is that a shechita can be done by Yisrael. Question is, can Yisrael do pigel? Can he not do pigel? Okay, so let's say it's a Kohen sprinkling the blood. Whatever it is, the Kohen does this, they're chayiv. If they do it on purpose. Mazid and they're chayiv. If they do it b'mezid, they're chayiv. Right? It's a Torah abon. So again, it gets into a very, very technical. This is one of those Gemaras where you tell it to people and they say, you tell this halacha to people and they say, what are you talking about? Right? So Torah abon. Let's say a guy is working with somebody's, he's a cook for a guy. And everything's tar. By the way, I'm sorry, but I made your tar stuff tame. If he was working with him with karbanos, right? And the zvachim that I did for you, they became piggle. Neman, he's believed. Right? Meaning, who says that we normally believe one aid about things? I normally aid bisurim, but that's laheta. Here the guy's coming to aser something of mine. Right? So here we're saying we believe him. But if he told him, Tyrus but he said the Tyrus that I did, on that day, remember 2 weeks ago, I worked Tyrus, by the way, it was Tommy. And the kavanas that I did for you became piggle, ain't in them when he's not believed. Okay, what's the difference? In both cases, the guy's saying he botched it about himself. Mashna ratio, Mashna Seifa. What's the difference in the beginning and what's in the end? Amar Abaye, Kol shebeyodo neman. Oh, so Abaye says a major rule. As long as it's in his hand to make it tameh, then he's believed. Meaning, the guy's in the middle of working in his friend's kitchen, in his tar kitchen. Calls him up and he says, by the way, I just made your things tameh. So he's believed. Why? Because he thought, since he's in the middle of doing it, even if the guy says, I don't believe you, the guy will then, he'll take and make it tameh then and there. He'll run outside, find himself a sheretz and touch it. Right? Meaning since it's within his power to do it, so therefore he's believed. Right? But once it was done 2 weeks ago, he doesn't have the power to do it. What's done was done. All of a sudden he wakes up 2 weeks later and he says, by the way, it was made tameh, that he can't do. Meaning when he has the ability to make it tameh, so then he's believed. Once that ability is gone, then he's not believed. That's the way Abai explains it. Rava says, you're going to Ashkechei, it's talking about where he already met the fellow. He sent him the food, everything is gevaldik, and everybody goes home happy. 2 weeks later, the guy calls on and says, by the way, that food I made for you 2 weeks ago, it was all tameh. So then we don't believe him. Because he should have told it to him in the first place. Right? So again, going to Ashkechei, he found him, he didn't tell him anything. And then he found him and then he said it to him. Right? So that would be the difference. Yeah? Fine. So that's one case.
So b'makom when there's a reisa, we don't believe he's eirachon.
That's exactly what it seems to be saying.
Even though you might be a kosher person?
I guess so.
It doesn't sound so kosher to me.
You could have made a mistake.
Just to make the guy feel bad that he traced up his whole wedding. He could have told him. He could have told him right at the spot. Now he waits 2 weeks later.
Maybe he didn't realize. I don't know.
It doesn't make him a tzaddik.
Maybe he woke up and realized that he was matame earlier in the day.
He should have been. Maybe he should have woke up earlier. Yeah.
I'm saying, let's say he had a good reason for not saying it. Would Rava switch his svar? Would he switch his sheet at that point?
What?
If he had a good reason why he didn't initially mention it. Would Rava change his mind then?
If he has a good, I don't know. You mean like he has like an amaslim?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know enough stuff.
He had amnesia for 2 weeks, and then
not amnesia. You had a good reason why you didn't say it for whatever reason.
Amnesia is good reason.
You could come up with a good reason why you didn't mention it initially. You come up with a crazy story. I don't know.
Rachman, we didn't want to ruin a wedding with 400 people.
You're right. You can come with a million different reasons.
Is that a good reason? Is that a good reason?
I'm just saying it's a reason. It might not be a good reason, but it's a reason.
Well, before you said if he comes up with a good reason. Now
but either way, the point is that the Gemara is saying you're not Neman. Why? Did he lose his Nemanis? Or not?
I would think he's Nichshad. I think
I don't know if it's Nichshad. It's stop. The Gemara is saying we don't believe
it. To make the other guy feel bad. This is.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see. There's a couple of more cases. Maybe we'll get some clarity. I don't think so, but let's see. The tires that I did on that certain day became Tomei. Also, the commander of Ami. Really, according to the halacha, he shouldn't be believed. Right? Amar Lefonim, Rebbe Asi, but Rabbi Asi said to him, Rebbe, Atah Omer Kain, did you really say this? Because this is what Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Yossi. Ma Ese, what should I do? The Torah believes him. So if the Torah believes him, really he shouldn't be believed, but the Torah believes him. So where did he believe him? We could be proving it from a Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. Right? This is some winner of a Kohen Gadol. If he Amar Pigel, let's Mehemen. If the Kohen Gadol comes and he said that the avodah that he did on Yom Kippur, he did it as Pigel. Right? And he says this is after he's done the whole avodah. Right? God's Klal Yisrael is happy. He comes out of the Beis Hamikdash, they're all happy, and he like sort of pulls the plug on the celebration by saying, by the way, I did Pigel on this whole thing. And he's believed.
The guy, the Pigel is chutz l'zmano, and this is the zman that he's doing it, right? What he said, I'm gonna split the dam over here next week, even though he does it right. That's what's called chutz l'zmano. It makes it Pigel, and he brings the blood the way it's supposed to. So Taka becomes Pigel. But how can he screw up? How can he screw up? It's this is the Yom HaKodesh. Where's Aaron?
Yes, this is.
You can't go wrong.
This is for your old Chavrusa. Yes, 100%. Yeah. Anyways, so this guy is a real winner, but Lamais is believed. So the Gemara says, right? Now, how do we know that the Kohen Gadol did this? Right? He must have admitted it. Nobody's allowed to be in the Ayal Mayit. It must be because he's believing, meaning nobody could be in the Ayal Mayit to watch him. So the only way we're going to know is if he says it. So you see that we believe him. So Gemara says, well, we're dealing with the Shemana, the Pigel. Maybe we heard his voice. Right? Because maybe he announced it. So he loved the Mehemen. Avagav the Shemana Nami Le Mehemen. The Duma Labasar Achim Kamar. So Gemara is saying, no, if we wouldn't be that we believed him, then even if we heard him say it, we wouldn't believe him. The Dilma Labasar Achim, but maybe he did it afterwards. Maybe he shechted it and he decided he's going to, hey, I'm sorry, not shech. Well, shech to him by Yom Kippur. Shechted, sprinkled, and he did a practical joke on the island. He did the kabbalah, and then he said, hey, Pigel. So he was just pulling everybody's leg. So then one says, okay, for Dilma, the Chazim would be pishpish. Maybe you saw him through the pishpish, through like a peephole, right? So the Rashi goes through the different sections that were next to Beis Hamikdash, and there was a peephole over there, and maybe he saw it there. Maybe he saw it. Maybe it's somewhere where he saw it. So it's not necessarily believed. So what is this kasha? Maybe that's taka kasha, right? Okay, it's very late. Should we stop there? How long is tomorrow? Tomorrow's also long. Then we get into the Kamsa Bar Kamsa. Okay, it's a similar case. So let's just go a little bit. If the other doesn't mind, a few more minutes. But who does it? It's easy now to the Mishnah because it's the same cases, but different scenario. Who does it to the Rav Ami? A guy came in front of Rav Ami. Amrle Sefer Torah shekasavti leploini askara shaloi loich savtim lishpon. This Sefer Torah that I wrote for Pliny, I didn't write it. I didn't write the Hashem. Askaras means Hashem's names. I did not write Hashem's names with proper kavanah. Amalei Sefer Torah biyad me. Where's the Sefer Torah right now? Amalei biyad lekeach. The owner has it. Amalei neman. Ata lahafsit scharcha. You're neman to lose your schar because you just passed up the Sefer Torah. But v'iyat neman lahafsit Sefer Torah. But you are not neman to make the Sefer Torah get lost because it's not in your reshus. Now go explain this one to somebody, right? We're saying that you gotta give back all your money because you ruined the say. It's not a legit Sefer Torah, but the Sefer Torah you don't have nemanis on the Sefer Torah, right?
So the Sefer Torah is kosher, but the money is
correct. It's exactly what it is.
If you don't hold the Palgina Dibur, do you say this or Palgina Namanis?
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if we're going to tie this into Palgina or not. Yeah. So Amalei Rabbi Yirmiyah Nehita Hefsit Schar Askaras. So Rabbi Yirmiyah has a practical thing. Very nice. So let's say there's 1,000 Hashem's names in the Torah. So he should lose the money that he got paid for writing Hashem's name. Schar the Sefer Torah Kulei Mi Hefsit, but why should he lose the schar of writing the rest of the Sefer Torah? Amalei said, in Shekol Sefer Torah she'en askar shalei ksuas lishman, ein shava klum. He says, yeah, he did make the whole Sefer Torah. He doesn't get any schar because and if the Sefer Torah doesn't have the Hashem's names written in it, then it's nothing. So Gemara says, so why don't they just write a pen over the Hashem's names that were puzzled? Right? Just write over it. And make the names hektish. Kiman, who is this like? Name of the like Rabbi Yehuda. Let's say this is not like Rabbi Yehuda. We had this before, right? Somebody needed to write Hashem's name. Now Hashem's name is Yud K Vav K. And then by mistake he had kavanah to write the word Yehuda. And then he made a mistake. This guy must have been drunk or very tired. This cipher. He really needed to write Hashem's name, but then he decided he's going to write Yehuda. And then he made a mistake, but and he left the dalet out of Yehuda. So what did he end up writing? Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? So he made so many mistakes that he ended up actually doing it correctly. Right? But my bottom line is, what did it have the proper kavanah? So Maveril of Kuma, so what do? You write a pen over the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and then it works. That's not considered the choicest thing. Right, so you see from this that our Tana doesn't say this Eitzah, and so therefore he doesn't go with the Chachamim, and he only go with the Chachamim, not like Rabbi Yehuda. So by one Hashem's name you could do it. Out of the Kulei Sefer Torah, but the whole Sefer Torah you can't. Because then it's going to look like a dotted manure needs like a, how do you call it, spotted, like a leopard. It has spots on it. And therefore, I guess it's going to be a thicker writing, so it's going to look weird that every Hashem's name has got a thicker writing. All right, fine. One more case. Who does look at he says, the Sefer Torah I wrote, the parchment I didn't do lishma. So Amalei Sefer Torah biyad me. Who's the Sefer Torah in his hand? Whose hand it is? Amalei biyad lekev. So it's in the lekeiv's hand. Amalei mitay sha'at nemer lahavsit tzarcha. Since you're believed to lose your schar, at the nemer lahavsit Sefer Torah, you're also nemer to lose the Sefer Torah. On Tamid Aleph. Gemara says, how come this is different than Rav Ami? Right? How come here he is believed to make it puzzle? And how come in the case with Hashem's names, he's not? Meaning the case by the klaf, he's believed. The case by writing Hashem's name, he's not believed. So Hassam, there, we could say, by Rav Ami's case, that you could say he made a mistake. He can make a mistake like Rav Yirmiyah, right? Which is that Rav Yirmiyah said that he only loses the money of that he would have gotten paid for writing, meaning in percentages, he only loses the money that he would have been paid for writing Hashem's name, right? But the rest of the Torah he would have gotten paid. Since here he's losing the whole thing because the whole parchment is also. And he still came and admitted it. Amar Kushtaka Amar, maybe he's talking saying the truth. So Kamash Malon, that's what you would. That's what we not Kamash Malon, but. There's more of a reason to say you would have thought that you should believe him, but we're saying no, we're not going to believe him at all. So the bottom line is we don't believe him. We don't believe him to at least in the case of the Askaros, we don't believe him, and with the Gvil also, right? Okay, so we'll stop over here. Adam should have themselves a fine night.
It comes out a lot of coolers. It actually comes out a lot of coolers.
Why are you saying that?
You know, we're always machmir on a Sefer Torah, but here it comes out. You know, somebody opens their mouth, and it comes out a lot of places where we could be makel. You know.
Yes, this would be a case like imagine if you announce in shul. By the way, the Sefer Torah we're reading from, the guy claims he didn't have any kavanah by Hashem's names, and they can say, "Okay, anybody want an aliyah?" Right? And they're gonna say, "I don't think you're gonna get too many takers." Right?
Yaakov, I mean, the famous story for Moshe and the mother that came to him by the wedding and said, "My son's a mamzer," and right. Moshe said, "Have a nice day. I don't care." You're not never.
Right.
So the halacha is you're not nema. That's it.
Correct.
So go make a bracha.
Yeah, and
you invite her. Moshe said you can go ahead and marry. You're not worried about mamzera.
True, it's true.
I'd make a bracha. I don't think I'm a grace. What does that mean? You don't believe the guy? Shine.
Right.
This is why you sell the aliyahs. Because
I think
the more important, more custom.
I think you underestimate how much people want aliyahs.
I granted don't want aliyahs, but I'll take that aliyah.
I agree with Eliyahu.
I think people overestimate how chashuv aliyahs are. I'm saying go get a hagba. Hag is much more chashuv.
You're saying the same thing. You're saying the same thing.
The what?
It must be chashuv. You know, the guy goes up to Shemayim, and they give him markers. For the whole set of markers, he said, "Wow." He starts walking away. He says, "What did I get that for? Because you're not really a Cohen." No, so he starts walking away. He says, "Come back here." He says, "What now? Another set?" He says, "Yeah, Bim Koim Levi." So you see, Elias is chashuv.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, I gotta sign off. Everybody should have a good one.
Yep. You're up at the Moganav now?
I'm in Moganav now.
Have a good night.
All right, come on.
All right, Zag. Not still you home?
Yeah, I made it home already. Yeah. Baruch Hashem.
Okay, Baruch Hashem.
All right.
All right.
It's pouring the whole time, the whole way.
It's crazy, right? Crazy.
Yeah, and I'm not the whole way. All right.
Yeah. All right.
I'll see you.
All
right.